Hello, my Patreon friends. So today I'm doing something a little bit different um, in terms of our mandala reading. I am, instead of just giving you the image and being like, here you go, and here's what I found, I'm instead doing it a little bit differently in a way where I am kind of showing you guys my little process a little bit, and then also I'll go into the reading itself. So hopefully YouTube does not dock me for the copyrighted music because it's from YouTube. So I hope it works. But yeah, feel free to just kind of view my process. And then as we, I guess, finish up, I will go ahead and let you all know what my findings are in terms of our module. So, I honestly haven't used this form of creating a mandala in quite some time. I typically use my iPad at this point, but I do kind of miss using this process because it is a little bit different and it's kind of more of a surprise for me in certain ways. So I figured I would share some of my process with you guys just as an artist, if you're interested in that. And, you know, maybe you can feel the vibes, the energy as I go through the mandala reading itself, or through the creation of it and then the reading itself. So first, what I like to do, and I've actually been doing this different for my readings just in general, but I have to remember how I do this because I do not remember. I think it might be under this one. But anyway, I typically try to choose like a background or something of that nature. Oh, I know what I want to do for the mandala itself. And what I've been doing recently is I've been kind of creating them in a way where I'm not just using one color for the background, because that's usually what I'm used to doing. I now use, or have recently been using, multiple colors. So we'll see if this will work for me. I have no idea. It's been a while since I have worked with Illustrator, but it seems like it's not wanting to do that. Oh, I think I might have to do this actually. So here we have a nice little purpley color. And then I think I can do this. And then we have the option of making it different. Whoops, little zoom things getting in the way up there. I think I might try that option. See how that works. And yeah, this is what I was thinking. That's what I was going for. And this is a very intuitive process for me. I literally just they'll tell me the colors and I just pick them. So you guys are seeing the real deal here. And I like this. I think it's interesting and it kind of plays into the whole spectrum of colors in a sense, which I think is cool. Let's see what happens when we move the blue up. I like that. Let's see what happens when we move that one up. Ooh, I do like that. Okay, all right. So that is the process that I normally do for the background. And so getting into the creation of the mandala itself. And I don't want this to fill, so we're doing that. And I'm honestly feeling a dark blue. Sometimes I second guess myself and then I'm like, the intuition said the first color the first time. So, and then the way that I choose this process, I like to sometimes use some different brushes. And these are not exactly what I'm drinking right here. I think I might have added some new ones, but I don't know what they're looking like at this point because I haven't used them in quite some time. So let's see what I find here that I might enjoy. And sometimes I'm just drawn to like a texture or a certain kind of brush that has a certain sort of vibe. And so I even get intuitive down to the brushes that I use and what they look like, what their texture is like, and just the overall energy and vibe that they kind of give me. I added some of these, I know. Ooh, yeah, okay. Forgot I had these. And this is like my normal, this is my little pack of brushes that I really like and enjoy and end up using most often. I just love that grungy vibe. I love worn and tattered, and even when it comes to buildings, I just think it's so interesting to look at architecture that is like, you know, a painted wall with the stuff peeling off of it. Like, I just love that. For whatever reason, it shows history and you know, the energy of lost or forgotten time in some sense. So as you can see, I literally just kind of move around with the little brush. And honestly, I don't have like a stylus for my computer. I've tried using my iPad as like a tablet to draw on. I did get a program, but it just like wasn't my fave. And I kind of enjoy working on and off of my iPad most frequently. So right now I'm just using my good old hand and my mouse on my laptop. Let's see, feeling yellow is what I was feeling earlier. And we've chosen a new brush, so we'll see how we feel about that. And I do enjoy that. I like how it looks against the blue and the pink. It kind of gives me that 90s cup feeling. To-go cup. If you guys remember what those look like, they kind of have like that little scratchy sort of look to them. And sometimes I will make images, and other times I will just honestly go with the flow. And I kind of prefer to do that just because I feel like it makes it so much more interesting when I go to take this little section of the mandala and reflect it out against all the other areas. And it's interesting for me because like I'm only seeing one part of the whole right now. But then when we get the whole perspective and we can see everything together, it makes a completely different image that, you know, I wasn't even expecting or thinking would come out. And sometimes I see signs and symbols and even like things that would be relative to like energies of deities and things like that. I always find it so interesting when things like that come up. But I might have to get some more brushes. I think next time I might try the same method, but with affinity. I actually switched programs, still using Adobe just because it's standard, and also that's what I learned when I was in college, and even before then I honestly learned how to use these programs by self-teaching because I've always been a very computer geeky kind of person and making my own graphics and websites and stuff. But might try Affinity for the next one if you guys are interested in computer programs or anything like that. If you're a designer, highly recommend Affinity. It is incredible. It moves a whole lot faster than Illustrator does, and you can use the whole Affinity suite on your iPad except for one of the programs. But I love it. It's really great. So I might try this same sort of method with that and get some new brushes for that program because I will be switching from Adobe to Affinity in October. They gave me 3 months free when I tried to cancel my subscription. So now I'm like, I guess I have both for a while. So we shall see. And I turned the opacity down on this green, but I'm not feeling that. See how it looks with the darker. Not feeling that either. So I'm gonna bring the opacity back up. Oops, took it all the way down. Bring it back up. And then, I'm still not feeling that green, but I'm feeling the color green. So I might do more of a sea foamy green. It kind of blends in a little better with the others. See how we feel about that. Kind of dig that. Gives it kind of like a, I don't know, it's a 90s electro vibe, whatever that is. I just make things up and go with it, as you can see. What else will we do? Fill the white. I think I might do. No, not. This is a brush that I made actually, so I don't know if I can make it any smaller. I kind of love that though. So I think I'm gonna vibe with this one. I kind of just like the touch of it being right there, but it might look interesting if we just continue with it. I love that. Made it look kind of like a burst. Yeah. And I always associate Black with protection. So maybe you guys are doing some protective work this month. Whether that be protection within your finances or within your health or whatever the case might be. Let's see if there's anything I wanted to try and add. Sometimes I even like to get kind of fun and funky with like the other layers on the side, because when we put it all together, kind of gives it a nice effect of like reflection, but also makes it a little visually interesting, connects one half to the other. So just so I'm not overcrowding everything and getting crazy over here, I'm going to merge these layers if I can do that. Okay, I didn't want to spend a ton of time with me trying to figure out this one thing, so it didn't take me long, but dragging and dropping the one layer here. And so now we have one solid layer for this section that we've got going on. So then what I like to do after that is, you can see this whole thing here. I love how this looks. It's so fun. I haven't made one like this in a while on Illustrator, and also just like have not made one this creative. So me working on my other programs has definitely expanded my creativity when it comes to these things. So then, let's see. We're going to rotate it or reflect it over itself vertically. And then I try my absolute best, if I can, to snap it in just about where we see that first one happening. And there we go. So there's that. And what I'm gonna do now, copy, paste a roux, give it a second because Illustrator is slow as always. Transform, reflect over that horizon line, horizontal line, horizontal axis. I want to be fancy. And then drop this down. center it, and slide it up because it's not quite centered. It's right there. There we go. That looks good to me. Look good to you? Looks good to me. Something I've been noticing when I've been doing these readings too for clients, like I love when I get to this point where it kind of looks like a funnel or like an hourglass. I don't know. It kind of like, it represents to me that reflection of energy and how it's continually kind of pouring into each other, you know? And I just think that's so fun. That's just a me thing. How that does. Oh, I'm just gonna do what I want. But yes, it is. Okay, so we want it to be at 90. And I think that's about, seems a little more than center. Take a look at it in a sec. Okay, now we can see. Leave it up just a smidge. And still a little off. I think that'll be better. Yeah, that's cool with me. And then we'll just copy and paste that one. Wait for it to do its thing. Do a little reflection. Cross that vertical axis. And get it as center as we can. Yeah. I do enjoy that. I can always go back and edit it if I need to. Might be a little bit off, but I don't mind. And then we'll take away those guidelines that we have. And that's kind of interesting. I kind of love how they aren't completely even because it's kind of like this spiraling energy of these little lines hitting each other. So this month, I feel like the kind of overall energy, which I normally associate with, do this really quick, just so I can easily hide and unhide this layer. Okay. So overall energy that I was feeling for this month, we can see the colors yellow, a turquoisey blue. We got some green going on here because of the yellow and orange, or orange. The yellow and blue making a little relationship here. And then we have pink and red. And we have some purple here because of the red, pink, and blue, but also just the pink and blue. Coming together, we've got some orange here and here, kind of like a dirty orange. So the overall energy, I would say, is kind of based in, I'm just getting like confidence, but also allowing yourself to be rooted and grounded. I would say that the energies of self-love, self-care, things of that nature could be heart chakra, but since it's pink, normally to me, pink is more so like in the spectrum of self-love rather than like just general heart chakra stuff. So I feel like there's more of a focus this month on self-love and also our ability to communicate, to be open, to be honest, to speak our truth, etc. And it's interesting because I've been seeing a lot of things lately about like, speak your truth, speak your truth. Well, everyone's truth is different and maybe your truth isn't even true or whatever the case is, but your truth just being that part of you that, you know, that has certain beliefs that feel very true to you, whatever makes up your reality, and recognizing that your reality might be very, very different from the realities of those around you. It's kind of similar to like, I'm personally someone that never eats McDonald's. I haven't eaten McDonald's in quite some time and years. Even so, like, it's just not it for me. But I have friends who are really conscious of things that they eat and such. So I was like looking for this incense stick that I had around here. But they're really conscious about what they eat and different things like that. And so, I don't often hear them talking about McDonald's, just an example. And, but it's funny because sometimes I'll talk to someone that I don't normally talk to, or maybe has a different living style or eating habits or whatever the case might be, or has a different focus when it comes to those things. And in those cases, I'll recognize like, oh yeah, people still do eat McDonald's. Like that's still a reality for some people. Some people still do crave it. Some people still get a Happy Meal. Some people still go there with their children. Whatever the case might be, some people still have birthday parties there. So, but that might not necessarily be my reality. So part of me kind of, touching base with myself and kind of reassessing my perspective is also recognizing like not everyone is living the same reality as me. It's also like recognizing that, I may be able to walk and move and do twists and turns and flips and whatever the case might be, and handstands and whatnot, but that might not really be a reality for everyone. And so for me to expect everyone to be able to do those same things, it would be very ableist of me, just because, I am not being open to the perspective where there are other realities where people can't really do those things. And so we have to recognize like, certain things that are a reality for us and might be easy and capable of doing or whatever for us might be really difficult for others to be able to do or participate in or, even comprehend. When we think of communication, even some part of the shadow element is recognizing that some people don't communicate the same way that we do. So it might be really easy for us to get upset and frustrated with certain people and feel like they don't understand or want to say that they're incompetent or whatever the case might be. And that might not even be the case. It might just be a fact of like, they weren't really raised a certain way to where they were given the information and knowledge that these certain things exist, or maybe they were raised in a completely different country. And so it's like, yeah, I have not seen 13 going on 30. Like, that's an American movie. Or, no, I have not even seen those cartoons on TV because the only cartoons my parents let me watch are VeggieTales and Barney, even though you are in middle school. I had friends like that who weren't able to watch certain shows and movies and things. And their parents were very, very strict to the point where they could only watch like Barney or VeggieTales or whatever the case might be. So recognizing that not everyone sees things through the same lens as you, and that might be the self-love and communicative work that we are working through this month, where we are allowing ourselves to connect on a deeper level with those around us by recognizing that our circumstances are all different, and then loving ourselves through that process. And not loving ourselves through that process can also translate into being accepting and loving of others when we can't necessarily understand their circumstances from our own standpoint and experience and perspective, but we can at least show them love, affection, and the most understanding that we can give them, which for some of us might just be the act of recognizing that our reality is different and that they are going through something differently than we are. Sorry, I don't want to roll over my computer wires down here. So also I feel like this aspect of the yellows that are happening here, as well as the red that's happening here, can kind of speak to the perspective that we can kind of, that kind of tends to grow within us when it comes to different things in the realm of our own confidence. And I feel like that kind of ties in with Leo season even. I've been speaking a lot about within my transit posts, which I want to do a post for this month, my friends, but it might not get done until this weekend. As far as astrology goes, that's what I mean. Just because I have been swamped. I really have been, and I've been trying to get it all done. And so I'm glad I'm even here on the, what day is this? What day is this? On the 4th day of August, doing this mandala reading. I'm grateful that I got it done by now rather than later. So, but transits, we still have a whole month ahead of us. So I'll try to get them out for the last few weeks because I feel like I really enjoy diving into that and I enjoy sharing that. But something I've been finding within the transits lately with Sun and Saturn and Pluto and even Uranus in certain ways. We have a Sun Uranus square coming up this month, which might bring up some issues related to this, maybe unexpected circumstances that make us take a look at ourselves on a deeper level. And a lot of Pluto energy that was happening throughout July and maybe might still be floating around this month. I have to go back and look at the charts. But that presenting the energy of like dark nights of the soul, having to go through transformation, learning about ourselves on a deeper level, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I feel like this all plays in with Leo, that Leo energy. The sun is in Leo right now. And I feel like that all plays in with the Leo energy because Leo is a very kind of kingly, sort of regal energy. And in balance, it can be very much like a dictator, or if you think of like one of the worst leaders in the world, like, I don't know, Hitler could be a Sun in Leo sort of figure, or anyone that's in like a kingly position. The Sun likes to be in the sign of Leo. That's its domicile, that's its home. It's on its throne when it's in Leo. So, you might see the negative effects of that, where it's like someone who's very diplomatic, very dictatorial, who has a lot of rules and limitations, and whatever the case might be, might not be a super great human. So we might be dealing with things like that, maybe not on the end of the spectrum, but in a way where we are having to kind of come back to ourselves and identify like what's working, what's not, where are we being a little bit extra, how can we handle things better in a better different circumstance or situation, how can we be more mindful, how can we be more mindful of other people's circumstances. In the dark night of the soul and Pluto energy just in general, it just brings like very much of the kind of like the Tower card or Death card sort of energy, where you can try to run away from death, but death is always going to find you. So the best thing you can do is just face up to it, In the Tower card, it's like you can try to run away as the tower is falling, but like at the same time, the tower is going to continue to fall. Or you can try to like hold the foundation in place so that the tower doesn't fall, but either way, the tower is always going to fall. So recognizing those things where we have to have this active balance and this active and constant amount of self-awareness and this active relationship with ourselves, where we are continually asking ourselves like, hey, what's going on? How are we doing? How are we feeling? Etc. So moving into the mandala itself, here we are. I feel like a focus for us this month, again, is going to be communication. We can kind of see that, or I am seeing that, I'll show you where, in the heart of the mandala itself. So like this blue, these little blue strings. This is like an indigo color, so I could even associate that with like third eye stuff. But like maybe what's at the heart of the energy is like the communication that we have with our third eye and the things associated with it. So that might be your ancestors, your guides, your deities, your spirit animals, the universe just as it is, whatever the case, the ascended masters, Buddha, whoever, whatever that is for you. That could be kind of like if you were to think of a shirt, that could be like the seams of the shirt, the thing that holds it all together. So this month, thinking of how you can hold it all together by opening up and being active within your communication with your intuition, with your guides, spirit animals, deities, energies, all that is, whatever you call it, however you refer to it. To me, I feel like they are all very much the same thing. They just present themselves, or they're easier to work with when we think of them as different separate energies. But it's all the same thing. Similar to how collective consciousness, us as humans, generally, energetically speaking, we are all the same thing. You are the same as me. I am the same as you. Energetically, we are the same. Like, we are consciousness, and that is us. But sometimes it's easier to identify the different parts of consciousness by being able to say, you are Sharonda, you are Jessica, and I am Ashley. Being able to differentiate in that way. So sometimes it's easy to work with different components of the universe when we are able to identify them, but sometimes we have to remind ourselves that when we get so far into the identification process, that things are not separate and they are all very much collective. So we have to always come back to that. But I kind of see that being tied in with the white here too. There's just like this strong energy of being asked to connect with the collective consciousness. And maybe since I see these kind of like infinity sort of figures here, or these little eights here, I would even go as far as saying, like, we can even see this here. You can kind of see with these white lines. And I would even liken that to the need to kind of recognize your part in the whole, and your participation in in the play of life as a part of the collective consciousness, so to speak. But also recognizing how you are reciprocating energy, and focusing on the thoughts and feelings that you have most frequently, and being reminded by that from these little purple and pink little infinity symbol things here, this sort of interwoven energy. And when I see that and think of that, I'm also thinking of like, I don't know where my thought was going, but paying attention to the thoughts and feelings that you have most often. Yes. Okay. In regards to how you think about certain things, how you think about certain people. I was just doing a reading for someone recently earlier today. And in this reading, she was talking about how it was a natal chart reading. And I noticed that like, tempers and temperament and things like that might be something that's relevant for her, or something that comes up very often just because of where it was placed. It was Mars in the 12th house. And so recognizing, where was I going with that? Oh, recognizing that in those moments where you are really, really, all I had to do was look at the mandala and I was like, oh yeah. But recognizing how your thoughts and feelings in those moments have a tendency of kind of maybe bringing up certain feelings within you. And without even thinking about it, we kind of send that energy out into the universe. And then it just kind of finds us and we're like, oh yeah. See that thing that just happened? Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Like, I just was in the moment and I had a thought and I just didn't even think it would manifest. And so, yeah, I kind of see how that might have been partially my thinking. So something we might need to be aware of too is our thoughts and how quickly they manifest, especially since there's such a large amount of energy around us, surrounding us, that is kind of encouraging this idea of manifestation. But having to be aware of that. I often tell my clients who are struggling with manifesting something, whether it's money or a home or whatever the case might be, I often tell them that a lot of times when we are focused on when is it coming? Come on, universe. It's been long enough and I'm getting tired. The more we do all of that, ridiculousness, even though it could be very valid, because it's like, hey, I have bills to pay, I have things to take care of, like, hello. But the more we do more of that, the more we distract ourselves, or like, I don't know, it's the universe has this weird way of like, when we are too attached to something and want it badly, so badly that we continually hope and wish and put in energy and do magic and all this other stuff. It's like the universe is almost like, are you just trying to manipulate me into getting what you want? Or like, is this a co-creative effort? Because honestly, I'm feeling a little bit bullied right now. But it's interesting when we just like end up having a thought of whatever we want to manifest. And sometimes this can happen when we're upset. You know, you think like, oh, I just wish she would fall over and twist her ankle or something like that. And then it's like, it's weird, but it's like we have all this energy poured into this one thought. And then we don't even think about it twice afterwards, you know? And then when we see that person fall and twist their ankle, we're like, oh. But it's funny when we continuously start to be like, oh, I wish they, you know, I wish this would happen. I wish this would happen. There's just like this weird thing that the universe does where it's like, it's less likely to happen when we continually have this attachment to it. So when we make our manifestations this month, even when it's like having something to do with self-love, even, I think a good rule of thumb to think about is releasing that attachment to that thing so that we can really allow it to gravitate and make its way toward us. The same way that you would when you're upset and you just have a random thought and, you know, you have a whole lot of energy and emotion behind it. And then when you manifest something that you actually want, you have to think about like, what kind of energy are you putting into that thing that you're manifesting? You know, when you're upset and stuff, it's very easy to, because you're already heated, you're already in the moment, you're already angry. So like saying something like that, you have a whole lot of emotion poured into that manifestation. But like say you're manifesting some money or a new job, and you know, as you're manifesting it, you feel like you're confident, but you're actually not, because the whole time afterwards you're doubting your manifestation. And so then the universe is like, well, they put in this request, but like, do they actually want it? Because this whole time they're feeling like they're not going to get it. So I'm like getting mixed emotions and mixed signals from them. And I'm not quite sure what to deliver. So making sure that we are completely aware and conscious and certain about what we want and what we're manifesting. And even before you manifest something, a good rule of thumb that my astrology teacher taught me is for horary astrology specifically. Horary is a practice where you can come to the chart with a question, like, where is my lost bull or cow? Where's my dog? Will I get the job? What does this dream mean? Do they love me? Have they cheated? Whatever the case might be. And so on the converse, sorry, I'm just trying to gather my thoughts again here. Sorry, I had to pause for a second, so I'm not quite sure where I left off. I know I was saying in the reverse or, you know, converse, but I think I meant reverse. But yeah, just, I guess I'll just go back to this, knowing what your intentions are, what you're starting with, what the energy is, and so that you are manifesting whatever it is with the most potent energy for that outcome, but releasing the attachments to whatever it is so that you aren't, I don't know, kind of blocking your blessings by either having a disbelief or getting impatient or whatever the case might be. So making sure that we are always aware of that. Let's see, the last little thing I will touch on is within the protective work that you might do this month, I think it might be beneficial to work on maybe eating foods that might be kind of protective to your energy and to your body. And that could be different for everyone. And you can kind of look into what that might be for you specifically, or if there's a certain food that you feel really drawn to lately, maybe that could be the food for you that might be kind of forming some sort of protection for you. Something else that kind of comes up for me is using food in the form of protection and being aware of how much we might be doing that in the form of like overindulgence. Something that's been coming up a lot, pretty frequently as well, overindulgence, even with food, but paying attention to that and making sure that we aren't overindulging or even protecting our emotions or expressing them in a way where we are consuming too many things that are not of health or value to our bodies. Reminds me of an article or something that I read or saw where it was talking about tarot readers and how a lot of them tend to be maybe heavier or I guess, I don't know what's the great word for that, but a lot of them tend to be a little bit heavier or have more mass on their bodies. And sometimes it can be because it's like a form of protection, protection from energies, entities, from other people's energy, and things like that. So maybe if that feels like something that's true to you in some sense, maybe making sure that you are being aware of, again, the foods that you eat and whether they're processed or not, and if they're healthy for you, and maybe even protecting your body from anything that's harmful by paying attention to the foods that you are consuming most frequently and switching it up if you know that those foods aren't necessarily great for you. I can also kind of see this with the yellow lines here, which have to do with the solar plexus, and within bodily functions that has to do with the gut, the stomach, the digestive system, colon, etc. So paying attention to all those things as well as you move and flow forward through the rest of your month, and just being aware of those things, getting active, being physical as much as you can, even if that's just like doing some arm stretches while you're in the chair and doing some leg stretches as much as you can. Or if you have to have someone that assists you with moving your body because you're not able to yourself, asking someone to put a little extra TLC, massage your muscles, whatever the case might be, so that you can make sure everything's functioning properly. And let's see if there's anything else I wanted to touch on. No, but I do not think so. So I hope you guys enjoyed this mandala reading for this month. I always try to switch things up and make them fun and interesting. And I know I've done a lot of different things. Like I've done the choose a mandala on the iPad and what other? I've done some other ones. But I figured that this one would be really fun for you guys. So I hope you all enjoyed it as much as me to see the process and how it all works and what comes through when I create a mandala. So I'll post this image on the Patreon group page so you guys can see the finished product and save it and print it out if you like. But I hope you all have an amazing rest of your month. And have a good day.